A few days ago, I asked you guys for some questions to do a Q&A about Derby County, myself, the channel, and things like that. So that is what we're going to be doing in this video. I'm going to be answering your questions and what you guys want to know over this summer period. So shall we get straight into it? So we're starting off with a question all about Derby County. The two questions sort of linked together, so I thought I'd put them together. The questions are, what are your expectations for next season for Derby County? Thanks, big fan. Now, I want to thank everybody who submitted their questions and everybody who's given compliments along the way, and anybody who comments and interacts with the videos. It's really helpful for the channel, so I really do appreciate it. And the second question was, where do you think Derby will finish and who will be our top goal scorer? Now, I think this question is a little bit difficult to answer at this point, obviously because we don't know the squad that Derby County are going to have. So sort of looking at it right now, I'm sort of expecting sort of like a lower mid-table finish. I personally think anywhere above the relegation zone to about 15th, 14th, I think we might end up. But obviously, anything above that is a bonus for me. Personally, I think the main aim should be on survival, staying in the Championship to be able to stabilise and continue to build for upcoming seasons. Now, getting onto the question about top goal scorer. I can't really give an answer for that one right now because at the moment, the only strikers we know we have is Connor Washington and Dejan Brown. Obviously, wide players, you know about Mendes Lang, Corey Blackett-Taylor, Tom Barkhazen, but there's a lot of talk about Jerry Yates. When you see this video, he may have signed. And obviously talk about a lot of other strikers. We've obviously been linked to the likes of Jamal Lowe, Sam Gallagher, a player of Karamako Dembele standard. So I think it's a bit too early to make those judgments, but I'm sure we'll get into that later on down the line when I preview the season in a Derby County perspective. That will be coming heading up to the first fixture. So make sure you do stay tuned. Drop a subscribe to stay tuned to the channel. Like this video as well, and let me know down in the comments your expectations for Derby County. Who do you think is going to be our top goal scorer? Obviously, we don't really know the squad right now, so it's a bit difficult to judge. But shall we get on to the next question? So, what academy player do I have the highest hopes for? Now, I'm going to take Dejan Brown out of this because I sort of think he's more of a senior member of the squad now. Obviously, not in appearance basis, but he's going to either be first team or out on loan, in my opinion. So, academy-wise, there's a couple of players that I'm sort of really looking forward to seeing how they develop over the course of the next few years with the 21s, 18s, etc. And obviously, I think you can't understate the professional deals that have been handed out to the likes of Jack Thompson, Kai Robinson, Cruz Allen. Obviously, you've then also got the likes of Dan Cox, Niall McAndrew, who have sort of really shown themselves a lot recently. And then you've also got the likes of Lennon Wilden. You've got so many players coming through. Case Gordon, the lad who won, is it Academy Player of the Year or something along them lines, who I think could be like a really good player going forward. It's going to be interesting to see how those like develop. Now, the player I've got the highest hopes for, I think it's got a split between Cruz Allen and Jack Thompson. Obviously, now McAndrew's sort of a close third in that battle, but I think Jack Thompson as a goalkeeper, I think he's had international call-ups, and he always seems to play really well. I think Cruz Allen has always impressed me when I've seen him, so it's going to be really interesting to see how those two do develop. Obviously, there could be players who haven't yet hit the under-18s that could break through before both of them, so there's obviously players that we don't know about yet, so it's going to be really interesting to see how that one does develop. Obviously, we're not guaranteed to know anything about the players yet, but it's going to be a long year for the under-21s. They've got a big rebuilding phase. There's a lot of talk about recruitment going on there, so keep your eyes peeled for that going on. I believe we signed an Irish lad the other day, and I believe we've signed a Scottish lad as well to join up with the academy, so it's going to be really interesting to see how that one does develop. But we're going to move now to the next question. In your role at Derby County, what was your title? I'm assuming that means job title. And what tasks did you have to do? So, my job at Derby County, I was titled, I think it was Assistant Academy Analyst Intern. And my job was essentially to help record, code, clip up, make pre-match, help with post-match meetings as well, manned cameras, MacBooks, things like that to help with the job that I had to do. Now, I was quite lucky in my role that I was given the opportunities to work games with the under-21s and the under-18s and the under-16s, which weren't necessarily part of my role, but because of the work I put in, I got those opportunities. Now, my main focus was on like 9s to 16s, which is, they call it schoolboy years. I started the year with, I think it was under 10s, and as I progressed through the year, I worked with the 12s, 13s, 14s. Obviously, I then did things with the 16s, 18s, and 21s, as I previously mentioned. And it was a really interesting role. It was really good to see what happens behind the scenes of a football club. I've not yet put down the baton for a performance analysis career in the future, but I think it's time for, I sort of need a bit of a gap year from uni. It happens all the time, so I'm taking a gap year before going on to doing my masters or moving into full-time work. So you'll probably see a lot of content over the next year. But it was a really interesting role to get to use some of the big equipment and big systems that they use at clubs, the likes of IP cameras, camera masts, things like that. Being able to live clip games. If you do want like a full video discussing like what a performance analyst does, I'm more than happy to do that and sort of show things that I'm still able to show. I can't use anything from my job at Derby County. I don't actually have anything from my job at Derby County because I wasn't allowed, because obviously it's a under 18s role sort of thing. So I am able to discuss and show what I was taught through what I did at uni and things like that. So if you do want to see that, let me know down in the comment section. Who do you think will get promoted from the Championship and League One? Now, for the Championship, I think it's a difficult conversation, really, because I don't think you can put down the parachute payment clubs from realistically maxing out the top 6. But I think you have to put big words to the likes of Hull City, Coventry. I think they could be in and around it. I think Middlesbrough are going to be in around it as well. But then obviously you've got Burnley, Luton, Leeds. Who else? Who else didn't go up? Like, I think West Brom will be in and around it. So you've got some big clubs who have big players on big wages and big expectations. So I think it's difficult to call for the Championship. I think League One, I think you've got one of about 12 clubs who are potentially going to be in the running. You obviously look at someone like Burton Albion. They've done so much work this summer in recruitment. They've obviously had the takeover. I think they've brought in 11 players already as I'm recording this. So they're going to be a really interesting watch. I think League One's going to be very difficult to call this season. You've obviously got Birmingham who have come down. Huddersfield have come down. Who else has gone down? Rotherham have come down. They've made a ton of signings. So you've then obviously got the likes of Barnsley, Bolton, Peterborough, who are Oxford have come up, Lincoln City. All these teams are going to be in and around it as well. Charlton are going to obviously be hoping to make a big step heading into this season. So it's going to be really difficult to call that one. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments, but I think it's really, really difficult at this point to sort of guess League One or the Championship, to be fair, because one singular transfer could change everything. So I think it's really difficult at this point, but let me know your thoughts down in the comments. What are your video plans for the upcoming year from a posh fan? So I'm guessing that's Peterborough United. So I've mentioned it a couple of times recently in a couple of my videos. Obviously, they've been more Derby related, so you may not have watched. But I am going to be sticking with League One content. That's going to be coming throughout this season. There's also going to be Championship content. Obviously, as I've done over the previous year, I'm just going to match what I did with League One in the Championship. Obviously, as time goes on, I may progress it, go a bit more in depth with it. But we're going to do that over the course of the next year. Obviously, the Derby County content is going to be staying. Hopefully, over the next few months, I can get situated in a bit more of a solo space, because right now I'm recording this in my house that I share with my family. So it's sort of a bit difficult to record videos all the time, and I'd love to do live streams in the future where I can interact with you guys live. You can pop your questions in the comments and things like that. So that's something I'm going to be looking into over the course of the next few months. Hopefully sort of get that in place for August, September time. Would be sort of a dream to get it ready for the start of the season, but I don't quite think I will. We'll just have to see how that one goes as here. So really over the upcoming year, it's going to be League One previews, reviews, picking up on big stories throughout the year as things go on, manager sackings, player signings, teams struggling, teams being very successful and being where they shouldn't be, sort of the top end of the table when you're not expecting it, things like that. So we're going to keep an eye on all of that. Similarly for the Championship. So there is going to be a lot of content heading your way. As I mentioned prior in an earlier question, I am taking a gap year from uni. So I've sort of got a lot of time on my hands. So this is sort of what I'm going to focus on for the upcoming year. So some days there may be 2 videos a day. Some days you may get 2 videos a day, 7 days a week. Period. So make sure you do stay tuned to the channel by hitting that subscribe button, turning on the notification bell. I am hoping to sort of start up a daily F1 channel as well. There is a post to the channel in the community page, but there's nothing on it at the moment. There was a couple of videos on, but I didn't have time to sort of get it started and going properly, so we're going to look to get that started over sort of the next maybe month or so. So if that's something you're interested in as well, make sure you do go and check that out. You'll probably see the F1 channel's tag linked on the ticker underneath, so if you do want to check that out, make sure you do go ahead and do that. Why did you leave Derby for Doncaster? Now, I didn't leave Derby by choice. Derby County decided to go a different way with their internship programme. They decided to go from undergrads to master's students, which is perfectly fine. It's their decision to make. It makes more sense for them because as a master's student, you can do a lot more hours and you can be more beneficial. And I believe it works out cheaper for the club to have master's students than undergrads. So it's just one of those situations, and that's sort of what happens when you're learning. So obviously I left Derby County at the end of the 22-23 season. I've been at Doncaster for the 23-24 season, where I've had a really good time working with Doncaster and some of the coaches. One of the coaches is an ex-Derby County player, so I sort of it sort of went really, really well for me. I've really enjoyed my time with Doncaster. I enjoyed my time at Derby as well. So it's just one of those things within football. Things change, things happen. Obviously, if I was qualified or I'd finished my undergrad, I probably would have been able to stay at Derby County, but that just wasn't the case for last season, unfortunately. So I moved on to Doncaster, and I do have the belief that everything happens for a reason. And if I had have been able to stay at Derby, I probably would have never started this YouTube channel. And I think over the course of 6-7 months, I've gained nearly 800 subscribers. I've got near enough 200,000 views on the channel, and it's obviously all thanks to you lot watching the videos. And I just feel like I've made a step into this space, and I think I've done really well with it, and you guys seem to enjoy the content, so it's going to be really interesting to see how that one does progress over the course of the next 12 months. Obviously taking a gap year, I may never end up going back into analysis, but we're just seeing what does happen now. Obviously back to the question of why I left Derby for Doncaster. Wasn't my choice, was more of a Derby County decision. I know some of the staff that I worked with at the time sort of would have kept me on, but it's just one of those decisions that was sort of out of my hands and sort of out of their hands. So that's just something that I've lived with and moved on from. Who will win the European Championships? Now, that is a massive question. Now, I personally don't know. I'm sort of anticipating France or Portugal. It would be really nice to see England in that final. But obviously with how they've been playing recently, it's really difficult. Obviously, I believe when you're watching this, they may be playing or playing later. I think England have a good chance, judging by their side of the draw for the knockout rounds. But obviously, you've got to look at the likes of France, Portugal, Spain. Obviously, there's Italy, Austria playing really well, the Netherlands. Some really big sides still in the competition. So I'm probably going to go France or Portugal. I think they are probably the best sides. Obviously, Germany have put in a really good set of games for the group stage, as of Spain. But I just think France just have a little bit more. than everybody else. Obviously, they struggled in their group and ended up finishing second, which is actually quite funny, really, because if they'd have finished top, they would have been on England's side. So it's going to be interesting to see how that one does play out. Let me know your thoughts down in the comment section. How long have you been supporting Derby? Now, this is a really difficult question to answer, but it's also not very difficult. I don't remember a time not supporting Derby. I grew up Derby fan. I've always been a Derby fan. I've had a season ticket for 6 years, maybe, something like that. So I've had a season ticket for a fairly long time, and I would have had one sooner. Just life situations didn't make it possible. But I've always been a Derby fan. My brother was a mascot for Derby County, like so many times. The big one that I can remember is, I think it was Arsenal in a cup game. It might have even been a league game. I have no idea. I was so young. But yeah, I've always been a Derby County fan. There's a picture that I posted on Twitter from Wembley in 2007. I had to strap myself to the seat with a scarf because I was terrified because of how high up we were, because we were right in the nosebleeds. And obviously I was like 4 at that point. So I've always supported Derby. There's never been another club for me, really. I do sort of keep tabs on some other clubs, like I'll probably keep tabs on Doncaster from now on, obviously having worked with some of the people there. Obviously, I keep tabs on some other clubs who people I've work with and stuff like that. So for me, Derby County has always been my main club. I've never really supported anybody else. And this question again about Derby County and signings. Who do you think will be the most valuable signing we make, as we're linked with lots of players to be expected for a promotion team? Now, I don't think we should be expecting promotion, even with some of the players we're being linked with. I think that's probably a step too far. I think Paul was very right in what he said on TalkSport, that he doesn't want his fans to get sort of over expectation because of what Ipswich have done. I just don't think that's going to be what we do. For me, I think the most valuable signing we can make is whoever the goalkeeper is going to be and whatever midfielders we bring in. Obviously, Ben Osborne could be a brilliant start. He may have been announced by the time you see this video, but that could be an absolutely mega signing for Derby County. You obviously look at also the likes of Karamako Dembele, who have been linked with Jerry Yates, who I mentioned earlier, could be joining. I think the big thing is that we've got a goal scorer and a good keeper. I think they're the main things. I think midfield is also important. To be honest with you, it's really hard to talk about a most valuable signing at this point, because I think there's so many areas that we need players. I think we've been dying out for a creative midfielder for years and years and years, and hopefully that's something we can address this summer. Let me know your thoughts on this down in the comments. It's a really difficult question to answer, in my personal opinion. Now, a bit of an interesting one. I've had 2 questions. Now, no idea who they're from. The questions are anonymous. Have you ever had an original idea? Why do you constantly copy other channels? Now, I personally don't necessarily think I copy other channels. I don't necessarily think my ideas aren't original. I don't know anybody else making player profile videos on transfer links. I don't know. I know there's other people that do review shows and stuff like that, but I don't know anybody that goes into it the way I do. Obviously, matchday vlogs is a common thing across football. I wouldn't say sort of it's copying. I have my own way of doing things. It's not necessarily the same as everybody else. Now, is having a YouTube channel original? Probably not in this day and age. But in my opinion, there was a lot of stuff that I felt wasn't covered throughout YouTube. And to be completely honest, I don't necessarily follow many Derby County YouTubers. There's not much Derby County YouTube I follow. I sometimes watch the Rams Review podcast. I sometimes watch Rams Talk. But realistically, other than that, there's not really many that I follow or watch. I sort of took a lot of inspiration from the Jack Ward podcast, the Oxford United fan, and the podcast he does with Nappers, the Fleetwood fan, and the other 2. I think one of them's a Pompey fan. I sort of took a lot of inspiration from sort of the stuff they do, and I sort of try to put my own spin on things. It's not that I copy other people. I just try and do my own thing, stay in my own lane, talk about things I want to talk about. And I've posted daily every single day since November 20th last year. It's quite difficult not to sort of take inspiration from other people. I think it's a really I think content creation in general is purely about taking inspiration from other people, and other channels that I watch and things like that. All of their ideas come from elsewhere. And if we want to turn it into a football sporting perspective, then you look at coaches. Pep Guardiola took ideas from Johan Cruyff. Jose Mourinho takes ideas from Pep Guardiola, takes ideas from Antonio Conte. They all take ideas from each other, and that's just the way of the world. The world gets better by people taking opportunities and building up other people's ideas. So if you think I copy, that's completely your fault. That's completely your choice. I don't really mind. You've obviously taken the time out of your day to let me know that you think that, and I completely accept that, whatever. But I just think it's an industry where it just happens. Like, I don't necessarily go through football YouTube to decide what video I'm going to make. I just wake up in the morning and go, oh, this would be an interesting video, or oh, we've been linked with this player. So it could be really interesting to see why you think I copy. So if you do want to let me know, the forms link is going to stay open. You quite clearly know where it is. So if you want to drop a bit more detail on what ideas you think I've stolen or what channels you think I've copied, let me know over on the forums, because I'd be really interested to see what you think. And we could maybe I'll respond to you over on forums, won't make it a public thing. So yeah, let me know if you want to. Obviously I'm not gonna force you to. I can't, I don't even know who you are. So yeah, it's just one of those things. But yeah, so that is the end of the Q&A. That was the final question. I thought I'd prefer to end on the stupid question. So yeah, it's just one of those things. If you have enjoyed this video, make sure you hit that subscribe button down below, turn on the notification bell, smash the like button. Let me know your thoughts about the upcoming season in the comments section. Do you want me to continue doing Q&As? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments, and I'll catch you in the next video. Make sure to go and find me on TikTok, pictured here, and Twitter, pictured here. These are the places where I'll keep you all up to date with all my upcoming videos and my thoughts and feelings around the Formula 1 and football weekend.